Okay, folks, I'd like to welcome you to another post-game conversation where you get to hear directly from Tribe football alums. For this episode, we have Mr. Griffin Gilder. How you doing, Griffin?
Doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I've enjoyed, well, we had a conversation a couple weeks ago, like I talked about, and then we've been talking it up here just to prepare for the interview, and it's been awesome. You're an awesome guy, even though we played like decades apart. So it's been great getting to know you, Griffin.
Likewise, yeah. I'm glad I've been able to do this.
Absolutely. So, Griffin, tell everybody what position you played, what year you graduated, and your major.
So I played offensive line, graduated undergrad in 21, and then I stuck around for my fifth year and got my MSBA and finished that up in 22. Undergrad, I majored in finance and got a concentration in business analytics.
That's awesome. I told you before that the finance piece is like well over my head, but the business analytics part, that's down my alley. So good deal. Um, so I think last month we had Marcus on, and you and Marcus were teammates, and so thank you, Marcus. Give you a shout out for recruiting Griffin. So Griffin, how'd you end up at William and Mary? Tell us where you're from, and how'd you end up at William and Mary?
So I grew up in Alpharetta, Georgia, which is a suburb of Atlanta. And then kind of ended up at William Mary was a great story, at least in my head, a great story that as like a seventh grader, had the opportunity to go to a camp in Williamsburg for football. It was at War Hill High School, and then so I kind of knew about the school as a young kid. And then during high school, obviously started getting recruited. My family and I, very focused on academics and also, phenomenal football here in the CAA. So, a number of schools had been reaching out, and William Mary ended up being the one for me. I got to tour campus around with Soldy, and I think I went home and told my mom like, "Hey, I want to call and commit to William Mary," and that's where
That's
I ended up
great.
going. Yeah,
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you have the like we talked before. You have this great story. I didn't even know what William and Mary was until the year before I got there. One of the alums, Marcus Washington, a friend of mine in high school, goes to William and Mary, and he says, I got full scholarship to college, and I was like, well, okay, where are you going? And he's like, William and Mary. I was like, dude, I thought you were good. What are you talking about, William and Mary? And so after he cursed me out, I found out more about William and Mary, and lo and behold, I go to William and Mary the next year. And so you had sort of trained to know about William and Mary. I didn't know anything about William and Mary. I just knew about the big blue bloods, and that was about it.
yeah, that was it was funny when when I signed on signing day in Atlanta. They have a big signing day event at the College Football Hall of Fame, and one of the people there asked me if it was like a boarding school, and I was like, "No, no, sir. It's a, FCS school, Division One." I was like, "All right, like we're gonna have to make a name down here in Atlanta."
That's a boarding school, yeah. That's still better than me. I didn't know existed. So Griffin, tell us about so you come from Georgia, you were meant to go to William and Mary. Tell us about your experience at William and Mary when you finally did get there.
It was phenomenal. I can't express how much gratitude I have for going there. Made so many lifelong friends, so many brothers, really, from playing football. And then it's just the best of both worlds. Football wise, you get compete against high level competition, and then for me, academics was a big thing, and getting a quality, public Ivy education was the thing, the cherry on top for me. I think kind of during my recruiting process and picking a school is always about the next 40 years, not the next four. That's what my dad always told me.
Right.
So that was kind of how I approached it, and I got to like I said, meet so many people. I joined a fraternity, got to meet so many people from that, and then because it's such a small school, you just have such a great time because you get to know everybody, and by the end of it, everyone's just a big family, a big tribe, if you'd say that.
You could say that. Oh, that's great. Okay, so you played offensive line, you came from Georgia, you had a great time, and you played your last game, Griffin, and then what?
Then I moved down to Athens, Georgia. Um, the company I work for, Landmark Properties, is a student housing developer, and the two guys that started it grew up in Athens. So it's based out of Athens, and I lived there for 2 years. Currently a senior analyst on the investment management team. So for those that don't know, student housing is pretty new asset class to commercial real estate. If you're familiar with Williamsburg, you can think of current Midtown as kind of the bread and butter of what we do at Landmark. We're so and then I currently live in Atlanta, so I moved to Atlanta like 3 months ago. They opened up an office there, and so took the opportunity to move to Atlanta.
Right. And you get to uniquely use your finance background as well as some of your analytics, which is
Yes,
rare because most folks don't get a chance, either definitely don't get a chance to do both, but like some folks just go off and do something totally different. And you're using both every day.
yeah, it's a lot of finance, and then doing a lot of various analysis that requires me to use that MSBA and put it to work. Fortunately, that gave me the skills to think differently and approach problems a little differently than maybe other folks. So I think that's been a benefit to my career thus far, my young early career.
But very successful though, Griffin. Okay, Griffin, what do you want to leave with folks?
Um, I would say, try and get bet like, something Coach Samus always talked about in the O line room was best. And the way I took that approach was, get a little better every single day. That was something that resonated with me, and it's something I try and do every single day. And I think that can benefit both people older than me right now that are watching, or young guys still playing. Is if you get a little bit better every day, eventually the gains will be seen, and you'll be able to succeed at what you're trying to achieve. That's something I've kind of taken in my career thus far that I took from football and William and Mary. So that was, I think that's something I'd love to leave with folks.
I love it. I love it. I read a book that talks about the 20-mile march, which is very similar to that, right? It's this consistent improvement day after day in a way that some people may jump out of the gate and they may go 15 miles, right? But they get really tired and maybe slack off a few days. And other people say, "Oh, I got time." They don't start. But if you're consistently going, same and just that consistent improvement in 20 miles, you're going and you're probably ahead of all of those other folks, right? And you're just marching
Mm-hmm.
consistently forward. So I love it. Thanks, Griffin.
Exactly.
Well, this has been great. I've enjoyed getting to know you, and I'm sure that we'll continue to talk, Griffin. So thank you so much for your time. I'm sure, especially the O linemen out there, are really going to appreciate this, especially since you said in middle school you played, was it middle school, right? You played
Yeah.
wide receiver. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, you're the poster child for the people that went from wide receiver to O line.
I guess. Yeah. I guess so.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, Griffin.
Appreciate you having me.